to contribute to the discussion on Ghana's public debt. As at the end of December 2018, but also to focus on the medium-term implications of our debt development. Mr. Speaker, we are in very interesting times. Mr. Speaker, I want to state it here now and today that under no circumstances should you, anybody, be telling the people of Ghana that we will not be paying the cost of the banking sector cleanup. And that it was your decision to pursue the path of collapsing the banks and paying the monies for the people of Ghana to pay in future. So you have no right to exclude them from any of our data, because when you are paying the interest, you refuse to pay the interest on those debts. You pay them. So on the basis of that, tell them the numbers are quite clear. The numbers are quite clear, Mr. Speaker, that as at the end of 2018, our debt accumulation ratio is 21.46% from the very record my colleague referred to. Mr. Speaker, and not 14.5%. And not for, you see, if you have two patients, you have two doctors to treat a patient. One wants to revive the patient and allow the patient to live a life. One decides to kill the patient and pays money and say, oh, exclude me from the cost I have incurred. You cannot, because it was your policy decision. It was your policy decision to collapse them. The NDC government would never have collapsed any of the banks. Yes. We would have pursued a path of reviving them and allow them and handhold them to become better players of the financial sector. This is a reckless doctor that has killed 9 patients, and today he's here saying that the cost of killing the patients should be excluded from our public debt. We will continue to pay. Mr. Speaker, the records are quite clear, and we don't want anybody to begin to circumvent the history. Mr. Speaker, we have been told that one of the other reasons why our public debt has increased is because they came to meet public debt. They came to meet loans that were procured by the NDC, which have suddenly ballooned their public debt. Granted, your own report is here, it will expose you. Mr. Speaker, I refer to paragraph 33 of the debt management report for 2018. And Mr. Speaker, the report says total financing outtake provisionally amounted to 11.6 billion, of which net domestic financing from domestic market operations amounted to 9.8 billion. Total net foreign financing amounted to 2.724 billion and included inflows from the issuance of the 2018 Eurobond. Mr. Speaker, the report shows that the total amount of disbursement from foreign funds was $2.65 billion. Out of that figure, $2 billion was from the Eurobond. Is it John Mahama that borrowed that Eurobond? So when you take it out, you are left only $650 million. That 600 is in this report. Your $650 million. Is that the reason why we are now dealing with a catastrophic public debt? And yet, Mr. Speaker, that figure that they claim to have drawn down didn't even pass through the annual budget. And Mr. Speaker, I want you to look at the numbers that they reported for our budget. Mr. Speaker, they reported that our total expenditure from funds that were borrowed amounted to 2.75 billion Ghana cedis, which included the Eurobond. Now you have $650 million you drew down. You will still have another $750 million from the Eurobond to be spent on the budget. When you add the two, Mr. Speaker, you get $1.2 billion. Convert that by 5 cedis, and you get 7 billion Ghana cedis of external financing that should have gone through our budget. How come you are reporting 2.75 billion? How come you are reporting 2.75 billion for total foreign drawdowns that amount to about $1.2 billion? So, Mr. Speaker, they are cooking our public deficit. They are cooking our deficit, and they must be explaining how those monies of almost 5 additional billion did not get into the budget, and yet it's reported in our public debt. Mr. Speaker, these are very dangerous times for us, because apart from you increasing the public debt, you don't even have the confidence to speak the truth about the numbers, and that is very disingenuous. Mr. Speaker, I have heard some arguments from other people that keep saying that we should net off some monies that they borrow to raise-profile public debt, and that when you remove those monies that were borrowed to finance public debt, which has not yet been reprofiled, the debt will come down. Mr. Speaker, do we report net public debt in Ghana? Our public debt is calculated on a gross basis. Net public debt accounting would have meant that when you pick your total public debt, you reduce it by any underlying liquid asset that you have. So the NDC government would have reduced the 120 billion by $500 million that was sitting in the sinking fund.
Thank you.
But we don't do that because that is not how we calculate our public debt. And I want the people who communicate for government to understand how methodologies are used in calculating numbers and not control their own numbers. Mr. Speaker, it is very interesting. It is very, very interesting when people in government, and I want to refer to paragraph 4.4 of the report, and there's a major misconception in paragraph 4.4. And the paragraph 4.4 says, in 2018, government continued to limit the level of commercial borrowing to $500 million in line with program targets under the IMF program. And some people have gone to the market to say that this 500 million means that MPP cannot borrow more than 500 million. That is an illiterate understanding of this comment. What this is saying is that commercial loans, you should not borrow more than 2 billion. And even the $500 million, even this excludes the Eurobond. That's why you recently borrowed $3 billion. If you have a limit of 500 million, why were you borrowing 3 billion? It excludes all the World Bank loans we have been bringing, African Development Bank loans we have been building. Stop deceiving the people of Ghana that IMF has asked you not to borrow more than $500 million. Because that is disingenuous. And the people of economics and finance are listening to you. The person knows I'm sitting in this room. Mr. Speaker, I want to indicate further that I have already spoken about the rate of depreciation, rate of accumulation. But Mr. Speaker, our debt to GDP numbers are said that anybody in this room that is on the other side should rather now be hiding your heads. Because the numbers are showing that it was better in 2016. This is your own data from the report that says the debt to GDP was 56.8%. And today you are celebrating 57.9%. Where did you learn this? That 56.6 is worse than 57.9. So you are getting worse and worse every day. That is why when we move away from December 2018, you get up on the point of order. But you have forgotten that any period after 2018 is part of the medium term, and the medium term report is included in this. Mr. Speaker, in the medium term, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member, hold on. Yes, Honourable, please use the English we were taught.
Mr. Speaker, the debt situation is worsening. But when you are dealing with a government such as Akufo-Addo's government, you find several colloquial expressions.
Thank you.
And I have found one for your government. You must be living with it. Because you can't come and stand here. You can't come and stand here on the face of the facts.
Use your colloquial English outside of Parliament. In this house, we use the Queen's English, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Next time, I will speak to you and translate. I think I'll do that. But, Mr. Speaker, the numbers are quite clear. And I wonder how anybody who has read this will say that a debt to GDP in 2016 of 5.68% is worse than 57.9%. And, Mr. Speaker, when you want to move to January, February, March, they get up on the point of order to stop you because it is getting frightening. But they have forgotten that this also talks about the medium term. The medium term, and you are not ready for only 3 months. But this is medium term. And in 3 months, this 57% you achieve in the whole year, the 57% you achieve in the whole year, you have a very good record of achieving it only in 3 months. So by January, February, March, you are already at December 2018 at 57.6% per the report of the Bank of Ghana. So I don't know how you are now going to finance the rest of the year going forward. But please, when you draw down, remember to report it properly. And we will find that you are reckless, you deceive the people of Ghana, and you are incompetent at handling our public debt, because even as you speak, you don't even have anything to show for what you have borrowed. Yes. And you are confident to come here and be giving invectives. Mr. Speaker, the people of Ghana must know these people for who they are and sack them from further worsening the plight of Ghanaians.
Yeah. Honorable Kwamina Afenyo-Markin is misrepresenting me. Mr. Speaker, I started by making reference to the nominal numbers. And I said, for the purposes of today's debate, I'm not dwelling on the nominal numbers. But, Mr. Speaker, what I said is that I want to prove that Ghana is not in a position for us to pay our public debt, even though our nominal numbers actually stands at 173. So that was the argument. I put it in perspective. I never said that I'm not interested in the nominal numbers. I said these are nominal numbers, but I'm more interested in as to whether we can repay our debt or not to pay. And I went into the debt sustainability analysis and made a point. That was my argument.
Your point is well made.
He has elected to get here to speak the truth and rely on facts by dealing with real numbers. But he gets on radio. I'm only advising him that my respected colleague...
Let's focus on the report.
Yeah, if you get out there, deal with the real figures for consistency's sake. Mr. Speaker, I am not an economist, but the basic facts are educative enough, and I can speak to them because they are in the report. Mr. Speaker, let's look at page 12 of the report. Mr. Speaker, if you look at point 2, this is what point 1, Mr. Speaker, I shall read. According to the IMF, Ghana's return to the international debt capital market earlier in May 2018 proved very popular with international institutional investors, allowing Ghana to print $2 billion dual tranche 10-year and 30-year amortizing bonds, which was the country's largest transaction at the time. Mr. Speaker, I am happy my colleagues paid attention when I was quoting. I'm happy. Mr. Speaker, clearly, for the first time, we were able to issue bonds beyond 10 years. They should tell us whether or not in their 8 years in office, they were able to achieve such level of credibility, such that investors could have confidence in an instrument being issued for our 30 years. Were you able to achieve that? And you want to say that we are in a state of hopelessness and there's no future? Come on. Come on. Some debates can suit partisan political interest. Speak to the fact and be patriotic, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, again, if you come to point 2, which they cannot dispute, which they decided to avoid, an upgrade in Ghana's rating from B- to B with a stable outlook in September 2018 by Standard & Poor's Global Ratings, the first upgrade in over 10-year period, rating downgrades and volatility. Mr. Speaker, again, I am asking a simple question. Unless some people on the other side don't understand this. Unless they would even want to file a question for the Minister of Finance to come and explain to them. You don't get to this house. When you have such positive ratings, you don't speak to them, but you want to create confusion in the minds of people. Students are listening to us, and you don't want them to know that in your 8 years in office, the 8 years of NDC, where the NDC claims that even restoring nursing training allowances was virtually impossible, teacher training allowances was impossible, let alone free SHS. Today, this has been done, and we are being told that our ratings is better. Then Honorable Adongo talks about incompetence. It's better suit your administration, because this external examiner has marked, this external examiner who marked you B-, upon which we told you were incompetent, is today marking us B. Therefore, in comparative terms, between us and you, we are more competent. Mr. Speaker, it is important. It is important that, Mr. Speaker, it is important to conclude by talking about the issue of debt to GDP. Mr. Speaker, when there are facts, we should give space to those facts and not partisan political interests. Mr. Speaker, we will not achieve any credibility if we do that. Why? You had 8 years. We are talking about debts. We are talking about the report. But pay attention to table 2.1 at page 19. Please go there. Go there. Why are you looking into my eyes? Go there. Open it. Mr. Speaker, they don't even have the report. They don't have it. Mr. Speaker, until they open, I am not moving on. They have to open and pay attention. This is not propaganda. I don't go. Stop using your phone and read. Mr. Speaker, this is what it says. In 2016, the debt to GDP ratio was 56.8%. Mr. Speaker, now, even after rebasing, it's 54.7%. Yes. Is Honorable Adongo claiming that this fact is inaccurate? Is Honorable Atuforsen, whom I so much respect, who had the honor of being a deputy minister, saying this is not correct? Mr. Speaker, they have not read sufficiently. They have not read. Mr. Speaker, thank you for giving the opportunity.
That the finance minister is under obligation in accordance with section 72 of the Public Financial Management Act, Act 921, to submit this report to Parliament. And so it's not as if the finance minister is done us any good or any favor. So this whole idea of the finance minister must be commended for trying to do this and that is neither here nor there. In fact, this act, in the interest of accountability, in the interest of transparency and probity, was passed and promulgated under His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and that is why we are doing this. Mr. Speaker, my good friend, the Honorable Afenyomakin, is going on attacking Honorable Adongo, attacking the ranking member, and stating that they should apprise themselves of the facts. Mr. Speaker,
hold on. Yes, Honorable.
Speaker, with respect, because I'm not an economist, I read the report and I quoted thereto from. If he uses the expression, I attack, Mr. Speaker, I take serious exception to that. Mr. Speaker, I want him, Mr. Speaker, in disputing their facts.
Your point is well made.
Withdraw and apologize. Yes, withdraw. You are my junior in Parliament, you want to be spoken. Withdraw and apologize.
Mr. Speaker, attack is not appropriate. If they were attacked, I would have been.
He makes very unpalatable comments about them and indicates that.
Honorable member, I was here. If any comments were unpalatable, I would have ruled him out.
Mr. Speaker, I withdraw. Mr. Speaker, I withdraw. I withdraw. I withdraw. No problem. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable.
Yes, Honorable Leader. Order. Yes, Honorable Leader.
Well, Speaker, thank you very much. I have noted your guided ruling on the objection raised by the honorable member. But Mr. Speaker, whilst he himself was making a submission on the important matter of public debt, it matters to the Ghanaian public because they all owe of a sort. He castigated the integrity of the Honorable Atuforsen, virtually described him as being dishonest. That was objectionable. So please, let's play to the rule. Let's respect each other. You virtually called him dishonest. And when he was on the world of nominal figures, you virtually did. So what is good for the goose must be good for the gander. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Leader.
Mr. Speaker, we are all in this house. What my colleague said, which perhaps may not be agreeable to the minority leader, was not that he was dishonest. He said the path that he elected
amounted to some mischief. The word is used was mischief, not dishonesty. Not dishonesty. He never used the word dishonest. I think it's for the purpose of the record.
Very well, honorable members, honorable Atufosi raised objection. I heard him, and I ruled that the honorable member should move away from comparing what happens here and what he says on radio. And I actually directed him off. Let's please play by the rules. Now, you will start at 12:58. Please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, like I said, the Honorable Afenyomakin quotes figures to support his argument. And he says that the debt to GDP reduced from 55 to 54. These were his words. Mr. Speaker, I am quoting page 10 of the chairman's report. Mr. Speaker, this is the chairman's report. 2016 debt to GDP 56.8. 2017 55.7. 2018 it increases to 57.9. Mr. Speaker, these are the facts. The Honorable Afenyomakin has not apprised himself of the facts. He hasn't read it, and yet he keeps on churning figures that are inaccurate. Mr. Speaker, this is a house of record. You might be here for 8 years, you might be here for 6 years, but the fact still remains the fact. And a 1-year-old member of parliament, when he speaks the fact, and an 8-year-old member of parliament speaks inaccuracy and peddles falsehood, that falsehood cannot stand just because you've been here for 8 years. Mr. Speaker, we should learn to read documents before we get up and make comments that are unsubstantiated. Mr. Speaker, let me move on and state that despite all what they claim, Mr. Speaker, despite all the claims, despite all the comments, our debt has moved from 120 to 173 billion at the end of 2018. And Mr. Speaker, I think that we should settle this matter. Mr. Speaker, this is a house of record. We cannot have the finance minister tell us that our debt was 122 billion at the end of 2016, and then the Auditor General would present a figure and say that it's 120. And this was debated in this floor, Mr. Speaker. So we must settle this matter. Is the debt 120 or 122? We cannot keep two figures in this chamber. Mr. Speaker, I think that it's important we settle this matter once and for all so that we can deal with the figures. Mr. Speaker, the other comment that has been made is that, look, we inherited some commitments. Mr. Speaker, in public finance, when we talk of public debt, we are referring to disbursed loans. If Parliament approves a loan, it doesn't automatically become part of the public debt. So if you stand here and you say that the loans are rising because of loans that Mahama contracted, it is neither here nor there. It is your duty. It is your duty. It is your duty to manage the debt and to ensure that we do what is proper and right. But Mr. Speaker, what is the end result? Despite your so-called profiling, despite your so-called restructuring, the fact still remains that the public debt is rising to 173 billion. And if you compare the 2016 figure, even as a percentage of GDP, to your figure, the 2016 figure is better than the 2018 figure based on this report. What they conveniently choose to say is that, Mr. Speaker, it's like I borrowed 10 cedis and 10 cedis from two people. When they ask me what is my debt, then I said, oh, minus Mr. A, it is 10 cedi, plus Mr. A, it is 20 cedi. You owe 20 cedi. It's as simple as that, and that is what you'll be paying. When you go paying the interest, you will tell your bankers and your financiers that because you engage in what you call financial sector cleanup, the debt should be divided into two or apportioned. You would pay the interest and you pay the principal when it is due. Mr. Speaker, if you read the report, and these are the facts, our balance of payment, the trade surplus was 1.7 billion in terms of a positive surplus because of oil. Today, as we speak, based on this report, our foreign reserves has dropped from 4.6 months to 3.6 months. It tells you that today, if we have a problem, hitherto, when we had an import cover of 4.6 months, today, based on this report, we have 3.6 months. It means that you are deteriorating. And Mr. Speaker, you are experiencing this because in 2017, it was the pass-through of the previous administration. In 2018, that you have settled proper. 2018, that everything is okay for you. You are seeing all these negatives, both in terms of the GDP growth, in terms of non-oil GDP growth. 2017 figures are better than 2018. And this is a fact. I am not saying it. If you go and check the records, you will see that. Mr. Speaker, oh, you want to argue that? Mr. Speaker, clearly, if you look at the main report, paragraph 29.
I don't remember, hold on. Yes, leader.
Mr. Speaker, the honourable member has made a statement. It says GDP growth rate is witnessing some negative growth. Mr. Speaker, yes, that's what you just said. That is what you said. If it is a slip, admit it. But that is just what you said. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, if your growth rate reduces, the rate of growth is negative. Let me make this clear. If I grow from 10 to 15, it means that there's a 50% increment. If from that 15, I go to just 70, you might be growing, but you are growing at a decreasing rate. And once you are decreasing, that is a negative growth in terms of the rate of growth. I mean, what is this? I don't understand it, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me make progress. Because these are
Hold on, I'll save you time. Hold on. Yes, but
This is a house of records. It is important that when we speak here, people don't think that we don't know what we are talking about. He was on a very good path until he made that statement. I think the proper thing to do is that that's not what he meant to say. GDP growth rate is not negative unless you are in a recession. We are not in a recession. So I think that he inadvertently said that the proper thing to do, there are students here. We don't want them to go and say Ghana has a GDP growth of negative. I suspect that that's not what he wanted to say. But I think that he should just correct himself.